For almost 3 weeks, academic activities in many universities across Nigeria have been halted as lecturers join the nationwide strike declared by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. An earlier meeting by the federal government to negotiate with the striking lecturers on August 16, 2017, ended in deadlock.
We are taking some government position, which we had communicated to ASUU.
The meeting ended with the federal government making new offers to the lecturers to consider within 1 week and get back to the negotiating table. This is expected to be the renegotiation meeting between the federal government and ASUU. The meeting is, however, scanty as only a few staff of the Ministry of Labour and the General Secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress are in attendance. A few moments later, the Minister of Labour walks into the conference hall and addresses the press.
ASUU got back to us, but that is late yesterday. This meeting had been scheduled before then, and ASUU got back to the government to say that they needed us to deliberate on their counter offer before we can have a formalized meeting. And we acceded to that because we think we have to do a government-side meeting on their offer before we then have a conciliation meeting to further discuss if there are further areas of disagreement.
However, a press release from ASUU explains that the union wants the federal government to first address the content of a proposal they sent regarding their position on the offers the federal government made during the last meeting. The lecturers are on strike over the poor state of infrastructure in the universities, as well as the non-payment of their entitlements. As it stands, there is apparently no end in sight to the strike action. The longer this is allowed to continue, students in the affected universities continue to suffer.
Back, we've got Dr. Tola Badejo, who is a professor of zoology at Ife, and he is also the pioneer vice chancellor of Wesley University in Ondo State. Thank you for coming on this morning. Good to see you again, Prof.
Good to see you too.
Well, incidentally, we're talking about this scenario, which is not so good for universities right now. The ASUU strike, they seem to trying to sort out how do they sort that out. But were you surprised when you heard that ASUU has gone on strike, in spite of the fact that there was a negotiating team in place, I think led by Mr. Babalakin, and then we'll have this?
I was not surprised. I was not surprised at all.
Why?
Well, it's about not fulfilling agreement. ASUU went into an agreement with federal government in 2009. In 2013, there was a strike, which was suspended, and they just resumed the strike because nothing has been done in respect of the agreement.
Nothing has been done completely?
Nothing, well, I would say nothing because substantially nothing has been done.
Because the Minister for Labour is saying that some of those agreements have been reached to an extent before the strike was put on hold, and then
what was offered is remuneration. And you know, if you are fighting for the system, you don't get satisfied with the struggle until the system is attended to.
So it's not
we won't throw money at them, put in their pockets, and that's the end of the strike. No responsible union will accept that.
When you heard that the acting president, the vice president, was taking over negotiations, and then at some point, maybe like 24 hours later, that statement was refuted by the vice president's aide. Did you get discouraged that perhaps he should have been in that team to really negotiate it?
When we had that to be in control, because he was a lecturer in Unilag, so he's one of us, and you know you need somebody that has been there with you to understand your problems and everything. But when we had later that it's not on the thing, well, it doesn't matter. In fact, you don't have to be one of us before you solve this problem. All you need is a good head. And of course, the right way of thinking.
But Prof, you know, there are those who have this impression largely that this strike now, if remuneration is improved, lecturers will go back to classes.
That's what I'm saying, that we will not do that.
Yeah, but they've done it before.
We suspend the strike. You know, there are so many things attached to when you are on strike. The parents, the political implications, and all these university communities. There are people who live on university community and all that, you know. So you just look at it that way. But this time around, I will not advise them to suspend any strike until they get, because it's an agreement is an agreement. And I'm very happy that this government did not make the agreement with them, but this government has not said that, oh, no, we didn't, let's start another one. No. They are looking for ways to honor the agreement.
Would you not be holding the government to ransom if you say there are no give or takes on this, but just give us everything that we need before we go back?
You can't hold government to ransom by demanding that the agreement should be reached. Actually, this ASUU thing you are talking about, I used to be a unionist, okay, in my formative days. But I now belong to the administration, which is also very relevant. So all these questions should be posed to those who are actively involved.
Right. You give us the benefit of hindsight about your being a unionist when we return in a moment. Don't go away.